Let's talk about Katelin Akens, who went missing from Spotsylvania County, Virginia in 2015. Katelin was a 19-year-old woman who had recently moved to Arizona, but her sister just had a baby, so she wanted to come home and meet her nephew. It was a short trip, 4 days, that was it. But when she was here, she wanted to catch up with some friends. Katelin went to a party the night before she was supposed to leave, and she met up with one of her old friends and her friend's boyfriend. Now, it sounds like they coerced her into doing some sexual things that she didn't necessarily want to do. Even though it does seem like it wasn't entirely consensual, Katelin felt extremely guilty and was nervous about going home to Arizona. The plane ticket was booked, like she was ready to go. The issue was that she didn't have a ride to the airport because where she lived in Spotsylvania County was over an hour from Reagan National, where she was flying out of. And Katelin's mom, Lisa, had to work, and her sister just had a baby. So Katelin's mom called the last person on her list, which was her ex-husband and Katelin's ex-stepfather, James Branton. Now, James is like, sure, but I got to go to work at 3, so I just need to take her to the airport a little bit early. Her flight wasn't until almost 6. And everybody was like, okay, fine, whatever. So Katelin's mom dropped her off at James's house around 9 a.m. on her way to work. Now, Lisa heard from James later, and he was like, yeah, I dropped Katelin off at the Springfield Mall. And her mom was like, why? Like, there was no reason for that. I mean, she didn't even think Katelin had ever heard of the Springfield Mall. It wasn't the airport. It was 2 stops away on the metro, but like incredibly inconvenient and made no sense. So, but he was like, oh yeah, I dropped her off, it's fine. She's like, okay, I guess. But then Katelin texted her and she said, okay, I'm at the airport 8 minutes later, somehow. So that's not how the metro works. And then she says that my battery's dying, so I'm not gonna be able to text. And her mom's like, okay, well, like, text me when you're on your flight, like, let me know you got it on safe. But she didn't. She did say that she wasn't going to get on her flight and that she needed to stay with a friend and think things through. And then her phone went dead. Then 2 days later, her suitcase was found on the side of the road. Inside of it was her wallet, her ID, cash, her plane ticket, but not her clothes or her high school diploma, interestingly enough. Police would later find that her phone never left Spotsylvania County. Those are the only towers that it pinged on. So she never made it to Springfield. She never made it anywhere near National Airport, and her family believes that there is one person who knows exactly what happened that day, and his name is James Branton. But we go into a lot more detail with all the texts and the timeline on this week's episode of And Then They Were Gone, so make sure you subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.